Hello student. Today we will start part B of chapter 2 from geography, that is physical features of India. So coming to the chapter, the major physiographic divisions. In this, the Himalayan mountains, the portion of Himalayan mountains we already did in part A. In this particular module, we will complete the northern plains, the peninsular plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains and the islands. Coming to first the northern plains. The northern plains are formed by the interplay of three major river systems, that is Indus, the Ganga, the Brahmaputra along with their tributaries. This plain is formed by alluvial soil. The deposition of alluvium is in a vast basin lying at the foothill of Himalayas formed this particular plain as a fertile plain over millions of years. So this particular portion here in this map, you can see this particular portion is our northern plain, which is very fertile in nature. It spreads over an area of 7 lakh square kilometer. The plain being about 2400 kilometer long and 240 to 320 kilometer broad. So regarding the dimension of this northern plain, it is 2400 kilometer long, whereas it is 240 to 320 kilometer broad. It is very densely populated due to the fertile soil, adequate water supply, favorable climatic conditions and terrain. The rivers originate from the northern mountains, slow down due to the gentle slope, which results in the formation of riverine islands. So in this second map, you can see all the three rivers, Indus River, Ganga River and Brahmaputra. So this particular land, or you can call it as a plain, the northern plain, it is formed due to the interplay of all these three rivers, right? Here in this northern plain, Majoli is the largest inhabited riverine island in the world and it lies in the Brahmaputra river. The river split into a number of channels in their lower courses due to the deposition of silt. These channels are called distributaries. So these channels are called distributaries, right? Now coming to different parts of the northern plain. Then actually the northern plain is divided into three parts. First, second and third. The first part is known as Punjab plain. The second part is known as Ganga plain. And third part is known as Brahmaputra plain. So coming to Punjab plain, it is the western part of the northern plain. So here in this map you can see it is the western part of the northern plain and is referred as Punjab plain. It has formed by the Indus and its tributaries. The Indus and its tributaries like the Jhelum, the Ravi, the Satluj and the Beas and the Chenab originate in the Himalayas. Actually, the larger part of this plain lies in Pakistan. This particular plain is also dominated by doabs. This I can show you with the help of this picture. So this is that portion which lies in Pakistan. So here you can see this is Jhelum, this is Ravi, Chenab. So these are the rivers, or you can call them as a tributaries of Indus River. So actually what they are doing, they are making doabs. So this particular portion is dominate with doab, right? Sindh-Sagar doab, doab, Rachna doab, Bari doab. So many doabs are you can found in this particular plain, right? Coming to Ganga plain, the middle part of the northern plain is called the Ganga plain. Here you can see this blue color shows you the Ganga plain. It extends from the Ghaggar river in Haryana to the Tista river in West Bengal through the states of Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Jharkhand. So these states are covered by Ganga plain. Now coming to Brahmaputra plain, the third region. The eastern part of the northern plain is called the Brahmaputra plain. So nearby this Brahmaputra river, this particular portion is known as northern plain. It extends from West Bengal through Assam and Bangladesh to India's eastern border. So these are the three parts of northern plain. First one is your Punjab plain, second one is your Ganga plain, and third one is your Brahmaputra plain. The northern plain. The northern plain is also divided on the basis of regions. So the regions of northern plains are the Bhabar, the Tarai, the Kankar and the Khadar. So one by one we will try to understand these. So the Bhabar, after descending from the mountains, the rivers deposit pebbles in a narrow belt of about 8 to 16 kilometer width lying parallel to the slopes of the Shivaliks. So here in this picture, you can see these are Himalaya, or you can say the mountains. From there, these pebbles are collected here or deposited here in a narrow belt about 8 to 16 kilometer width. This particular portion of pebble is known as Bhabar. So it is just below the mountain area or Shivaliks. Second one is Tarai. The south of Bhabar belt, the streams and the rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region called Tarai. This particular area next to Bhabar or towards south of Bhabar is known as Tarai. This particular portion is very wet, swampy and marshy. In this region, Dudhwa National Park is located. Third is the Kankad. The largest part of the northern plain consists of older alluvium is known as Kankad. So this particular portion is known as Kankad. It represents a terrace-like feature and contains calcareous deposits. Khadar, the lowest region in the floodplain is called the Khadar. The soil here is renewed whenever there is a flood, almost every year. So this particular area is very fertile and best for intensive agriculture. So this particular area is known as Khadar region, right? So these are the regions of northern plains. Now coming to third, the peninsular plateau, a tableland composed of old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. The plateau has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. It was formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land and consists of two broad divisions. First one is the Central Highland and second one is the Deccan Plateau. So here this particular portion is the Central Highland and this second portion is Deccan Plateau. So this here in this map you can see the Peninsular Plateau. Okay, the Central Highlands. This is the part lying north of the Narmada River which covers most of the Malwa Plateau. The Vindhyan range is bounded by the Central Highlands on the south and the Aravalis on the northwest. Its further westward extension gradually merges with the sandy and rocky desert of Rajasthan. It slopes from southwest to the northeast as indicated by the flow of the Chambal, Sindh, Betwa and Ken rivers. The Central Highlands are wider in the west but narrow in the east. This you can see here. This is your Central Highland, right? Its eastern edge consists of the area known as Bundelkhand and Bhagelkhand. The Chota Nagpur Plateau marks the further eastward extension drained by the Damodar River. Now second is the Deccan Plateau. It is the triangular landmass lies to the south of the river Narmada. The broad base of the Satpura range form its north, while the Mahadev Hills, the Kaimur Hills and the Makkal Hills form its eastern extension. The Deccan Plateau is higher in the west and slopes gently eastward. An extension of the plateau is also visible in the northeast, generally known as the Meghalaya Karbi Anglong Plateau and North Kachar Hills. It is separated from the Chota Nagpur Plateau by a fault. This is the Chota Nagpur Plateau actually. Here in this map you can see, and here we have Deccan Plateau. Okay, some part of the Deccan Plateau is also found in the northeast area. It is separated from the Chota Nagpur Plateau by a fault. The three prominent hill ranges from its west to east are Garo, the Khasi and the Jaintia hills, right? Now coming to the Western Ghats. The Ghats mark the east and west edges of the Deccan Plateau. The Western Ghat lie parallel to the western coast. These are your Western Ghat, or here we have Western Coastal Area. So it is parallel to Western Coastal Area. Okay, Western Ghats are parallel to Western Coastal Area. The Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghat. If we will compare this Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat, so Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. Their average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters. The Ghats orographic rain by forcing the rain bearing moist monsoon winds to rise along the western slopes of the Ghat. The height of the Western Ghat increases from north to south. The highest peaks which we found in the Western Ghats are Anaimundi, the Doda Beta, and the famous hill stations are Udga Mandalam, popularly known as Ooty, and Kodaikanal. The Western Ghats are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. So they are continuous in nature. Now coming to Eastern Ghat. The Eastern Ghats stretch from the Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. They are discontinuous and irregular and dissected by river drains draining the Bay of Bengal. The Mahendragiri is the highest peak in Eastern Ghat. So here it is. You can see in this map, this is your Eastern Ghat. Shivroy Hills and Javadi Hills are located in the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. The Nilgiri Hills in Tamil Nadu lie at the junction of the Western and Eastern Ghats. Now we have two more things. First is your Deccan Trap. The western part of the plateau known as the Deccan Trap contains black soil of volcanic origin. The rocks are igneous and denuded to form black soil, famous for cotton cultivation, whereas the Aravalli Hills are highly eroded and broken hills. These lie on the western and northwestern margins of the peninsular plateau. They extend from Gujarat to Delhi in the southwest to the northeast direction. So these were our peninsular plateau, the description of peninsular plateau. Now coming to Indian desert. The Indian desert lie on the western margin of the Aravalli Hills. It consists of undulating sandy plain with various types of sand dunes. It receives less than 150 mm rainfall annually. It has arid climate with low vegetation. Streams appear only during the monsoon season. Luni is the only large river in this particular region. Crescent-shaped sand dunes called Burchans cover most of this desert. Some longitudinal dunes are seen on the western edge of this region near the Indo-Pakistan border. This desert is known as Thar Desert. So here in this picture you can see the location of Rajasthan, right? Now coming to the coastal plains. The peninsular plateau is bordered by narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on the east. The western coast, which lies between the Western Ghat and the Arabian Sea, is a narrow plain consist of 3 sections. They are talking about this particular region. Okay, this particular region. First is the northern part of the coast is called Konkan. This particular portion is called Konkan, that is from Mumbai to Goa, in between Mumbai to Goa. Central stretch is called Kannad Plain. This one is our Kannad Plain. And southern stretch is called the Malabar Coast. So third one is a Malabar Coast. The plains which lies along the Bay of Bengal is more wider and level. In the northern part it is known as Northern Sircar, and in the southern part it is called Coromandel Coast. So here we have Coromandel Coast, right? Rivers like the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri have formed extensive deltas on this coast. Lake Chilka is the largest saltwater lake on the eastern coast, that is in Odisha. It is famous as a winter home for migratory birds. It lies to the south of Mahanadi Delta. Now coming to islands. India has two island groups. First, the Lakshadweep Island. It lies close to the Malabar coast, that is Kerala, nearby Kerala. This group of islands is composed of small coral islands. Earlier they were known as Laccadive, Minocoy and Aminadive. In 1973, these were named as Lakshadweep. They cover a small area of 32 square kilometer. Kavarati, here you can see Kavarati and other coral island groups. Kavarati Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadweep. In this group, the Piti Island has a bird sanctuary which is uninhabited. Now coming to Andaman and Nicobar Islands, they are two chains of densely forested islands. So here in this picture, first picture, you can see where is the Andaman and Nicobar, and when we expand this thing, so here in this portion we can see some of the island groups here in this area. The Andamans are bigger in size. They are more numerous and scattered. The entire group of island is divided into two broad categories, the Andaman in north and the Nicobar in south. So Andaman portion is in north and Nicobar is in south, right? These islands are believed to be an elevated portion of submarine mountain. This is very important. These islands are believed to be an elevated portion of submarine mountain. The southernmost tip of this island called Indira Point. We already heard this thing in chapter number 1. India's only active volcano is found on Barren Island in the Andaman and Nicobar Island. There is a great diversity of flora and fauna in this group of islands. They lie close to equator and experience equatorial climate with thick forest cover. So this is the description of the island groups of India, the Andaman and Nicobar. So with this, our chapter is completed. Thank you everyone.